or how you think Crawford did?
You know, they are a weight class for a reason, and you need to ask him.
All right, let's dive into the brewing storm in the boxing world, where Terence "Bud" Crawford and Canelo Alvarez are set to clash in a fight that's already igniting sparks long before the opening bell. Picture this. It's March 26, 2025, and the tension between these two titans has reached a boiling point. What was once a professional build-up for a blockbuster showdown scheduled for September 13th has now escalated into something much more personal, thanks to a heated altercation at an airport just today. Crawford, never one to hold back, grabbed Canelo by the collar and shoved him during a fiery exchange, turning a simmering rivalry into a full-blown inferno. Security stepped in before Canelo had a chance to retaliate, but the message was clear. This isn't just about belts or bragging rights anymore. It's personal. Let's rewind a bit and set the stage. Crawford, the undisputed welterweight champion, who dominated Errol Spence Jr. in a one-sided beatdown, has been outspoken about his plans to take Canelo's throne. He's called Canelo overrated and promised to expose him in the ring. Moving up from 147 to 154 pounds was just the beginning. Now, he's bulking up for 168 pounds, where Canelo reigns as the super middleweight king. In Crawford's last fight, against Israel Madrimov, things weren't as one-sided as many anticipated, but Crawford still got the job done. Critics pointed to that performance as proof that he may struggle against bigger opponents, but his camp sees things differently. His coach, Brian "Bo Mac" McIntyre, insists that Madrimov was underrated, and Crawford's adaptability shone through. Now, walking around at 185 pounds, Crawford is proving he's no lightweight anymore. He's posted photos of his new frame, silencing doubters who questioned whether he could handle Canelo's power. Meanwhile, Canelo is gearing up for his own May 2nd showdown, adding even more fuel to this already blazing fire. Canelo is preparing for his fight against William Skoglund in Saudi Arabia, aiming to solidify his dominance and reclaim his undisputed status at 168 pounds. However, today's airport clash has thrown a wrench into that focus. Crawford's timing couldn't be more calculated, rattling Canelo when he should be locked in on Skoglund. If Canelo looks past Skoglund and falters, it could derail the hype for their September showdown. Boxing fans know the drill. You've got to look impressive in one fight to keep the momentum going for the next. A sloppy win or a loss to Skoglund, and the narrative shifts. Suddenly Crawford has even more ammunition to claim Canelo is slipping. So, what's the buzz? This fight is layered. Size, skill, legacy, and now, bad blood. Crawford's camp is all in. His team has been hyping it up for weeks, dismissing the idea that it's just about money. Bud doesn't need the payday. He's got investments. What he needs is to prove he's the best. For Crawford, Canelo is just another obstacle in his quest to be the greatest of his generation. He's bringing the same energy he had against Spence, where he predicted a beatdown and delivered, dropping Spence 3 times before stopping him. That mentality hasn't changed. Today's shove wasn't just bravado, it was Crawford asserting dominance before September. Canelo has been quieter, focusing on Skoglund, but you can bet that has changed now. He's a legend, with wins at 154, 160, 168, and even a dip at 175 against Dimitri Bivol, who handed him his last loss in 2022. Canelo has nothing left to prove, but the question remains, does he still have that fire? Crawford is betting he doesn't, aiming to humiliate him, not just win. It's easy work, Crawford jabbed, referencing Canelo's alleged comments about asking for $150 million from him and $200 million from Bivol. I'm a threat to his legacy. That's the stakes here. A win for Crawford could dent Canelo's near-mythical status, while a Canelo victory adds another elite name to his resume. The boxing world is split on this one. Sean Porter, who felt Crawford's power firsthand, isn't just saying Bud can hang. He believes he can win. "He's the most competitive man I know," Porter said. "He's fought Spence, Ugas, Thurman, and Brook. But Crawford's mentality stands out." Porter sees Canelo breaking down over 10 or 12 rounds, especially if Bud survives the early storm. Canelo is known to slow down late, and Crawford's relentless style could exploit that. But Porter also has concerns. Absorbing Canelo's punches over 12 rounds is no joke, and Crawford's knockout streak has faded as he's moved up in weight. Still, his boxing IQ and southpaw stance could be the equalizer. Shakur Stevenson has Been on this train since 2022, right after Crawford stopped Porter. He predicted Bud would topple Canelo, citing style and Canelo's struggles against lefties like John Ryder. Canelo didn't look great there, Stevenson noted, and he's seen Crawford hurt heavyweights in sparring. If that's legit, the size gap might not matter as much as people think. Tim Bradley Jr. agrees that Crawford wins, but not by knockout. He sees Bud outboxing Canelo with smarts and movement. Bradley thinks Canelo's been coasting lately, taking softer fights like Jermell Charlo, who didn't push him. Crawford won't be that guy. He'll bring the heat. Joe Rogan's not buying the Crawford's too small narrative either. He's walking around at 185, Rogan said on his podcast. He's thickening up. Rogan is pumped for this clash, calling it a 50-50 fight based on their last outings. Paulie Malignaggi draws a historical parallel to Roberto Duran versus Iran Barkley in 1989, where Duran, a former lightweight, beat a bigger middleweight with skill. Malignaggi sees Crawford as the more complete fighter, with Canelo's size being his only edge. Then there's Dimitri Bivol, who outclassed Canelo in 2022. He's all about mindset, and believes Crawford's stance switching and belief in himself could carry him to victory. Bivol noted that Canelo looked strong against Charlo and Callum Smith, but those guys didn't believe they could win. Crawford does. Teddy Atlas flips the script both ways. He acknowledges Canelo's size and ring-cutting ability, pointing to Crawford's fight against Mikkel Kessler as a warning. Bud struggled a bit against a versatile, bigger opponent. But Atlas also sees the flip side. Boxing history is full of smaller guys beating giants, like Sugar Ray Leonard over Marvin Hagler, or Manny Pacquiao climbing through weights. Crawford's faster, craftier, with more options, Atlas said. He's special. Instincts, timing, the X factor. It's David versus Goliath, and I can't wait to see it play out. The doubters aren't quiet, though. Some fans and analysts, like those Atlas calls out, think the size gap is too much. One punch can change everything, they argue, pointing to Jermell Charlo's face-off with Canelo. The predictions surrounding Crawford's fight against Canelo are as intense as the rivalry itself. History has shown that fighters like Kell Brook were overwhelmed by GGG. Mikey Garcia faded against Spence, but Crawford is neither Brook nor Garcia. He's a generational talent with a massive chip on his shoulder, and throughout his career, he's made it a point to prove the doubters wrong at every turn. So, what's the prediction? Well, it's a tough one to make. Canelo has the power, size, and experience at 168 pounds. He's a smart, seasoned fighter who doesn't just rely on brute force. He can box, cut angles, and break opponents down over the course of a fight. Crawford, on the other hand, is the slicker, faster fighter, with elite fight IQ and a remarkable ability to adapt. If Canelo starts strong, pounding on Bud early, he could break him before the fight reaches the later rounds. But if Crawford can weather that early storm and avoid being overwhelmed, his movement and counters could frustrate Canelo, allowing him to rack up points and possibly even force a stoppage later in the fight. Personally, I lean toward Canelo stopping Crawford. Size matters, and Bud has never faced this level of power over a full 12-round fight. But don't sleep on Bud. If anyone can pull off the upset, it's him. This fight is bigger than just a boxing match. It's got a massive buzz, with rumors swirling about Netflix documentaries, Saudi money backing it, and a personal edge that will have pay-per-view buyers on the edge of their seats. Crawford's shove at the airport today lit the fuse, and by September 13th, this could be one of the most intense rivalries the sport has seen in years. Canelo might try to smile off the fiery challenge, but Crawford isn't just swinging for the fences with a Louisville slugger like some have suggested. He's bringing precision, strategy, and unrelenting fury. The question is, will Canelo lay down the beats like Dr. Dre, or will Bud shock the world again? One thing's for sure, this isn't just another fight, it's a legacy-defining war. What's your take on the fight? How do you see it unfolding?